Do you keep putting off going non-toxic because you just don't know where to start? I'm going to show you how to work smarter, not harder when it comes to going non-toxic. Coming up on today's episode of the Non-Toxic Mommy Podcast, I'm going to share some big wins that are simple to achieve and my top 3 priorities when it comes to getting started with non-toxic living. Hello, and welcome back to the Non-Toxic Mommy. I'm Yasmine, and today we're talking about officially starting your non-toxic living journey. You know it's important to pursue a non-toxic lifestyle, but what are the actual first few changes that you should make? If you're just beginning this journey, or even if you're just looking to recommit to a cleaner lifestyle, this episode is for you. So as we know, and as we've talked about already, this whole thing can kind of seem overwhelming. There are so many different aspects to consider, from the food we eat to the products that we use on our bodies and in our homes, and it can feel like there's just so much to manage. It can also really be hard to know where to start. Like, you've decided that you want to commit to a cleaner lifestyle, but like, what is the actual first step that you take? Okay, so just remember, I promise you it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can actually be pretty simple and logical. So there are a number of ways that you can get started with making clean swaps. You can approach it however you think works for you. But as far as I'm concerned, and having worked with so many different families on this, I'm going to share the top 3 swaps that you can make to really kickstart your family's non-toxic and clean living journey. These are simple swaps that are effective, and they're going to make a significant impact on your entire family's overall well-being. And there's no major overhauls needed. So we're going to go for those quick wins that are going to benefit everybody in your full household. So let's dive in. First and foremost, it helps to start with the right mindset. So if you haven't done some of the mindset work with me, definitely take some time to go back and listen to episodes 1 through 3 of the show. That's where we really set the stage for your mindset, for your commitment, and your success and longevity with non-toxic living. On top of that, we talked about healthy habits, and that is a really important part of supporting your lifestyle and your wellness goals. But as far as actually making these swaps, like, I really want you to approach this with kind of a place of confidence and love, coming to this with, the desire to make improvements for your whole family's sake, for your sake, and not really out of a place of fear. So that's why that mindset work is really going to be important, because the last thing I really want to do is cause you to stress, worry, or even worse, like live in fear. That's just not the goal of non-toxic living, because that stress in and of itself is toxic. So we don't want to go there. Let's do this, let's make this chill. Let's make this really easy for ourselves. So the number 1 swap that I have for you is, drum roll please. You're not going to believe this one, but it's really, truly whatever is nagging at you. Okay, so let me say that again. The first swap that you should probably make is something that deep down inside you need to change. You might have something that you do, or a product that you use, or something that you guys eat that you just know isn't good for your family. Like, every time you reach for that product, or every time you do that thing, there's this little voice inside your head that says, oh, this is probably not the best choice. And maybe you've been ignoring that voice for so long, but let's go ahead and start with that. Usually we know, especially as moms and parents in general, there's an intuition, I think, that we have. There's this little voice inside of our heads that says, okay, this is good, this is not so good. And so truly, number 1, the first swap that I want you to make is just whatever you think you need to make. Okay, so if you have something that's in the back of your mind that's been bothering you for some time, something that, you've been meaning to deal with, you've been meaning to give attention to, why not start with that? That is usually the best place to start. Now, it might be a big category, okay, like food or something like that. Maybe there's a way to just distill that into something simpler. But if it really is something big, like a huge category, like I need to overhaul my whole, whatever, fill in the blank, then let's start smaller, okay? And I'm going to share with you the 3 quick wins that I would just recommend to anyone that they start with. But if you really do have something in your home, in your lifestyle, where you're just kind of constantly telling yourself, we shouldn't be doing this, I really want you to listen to that. Lean into that, listen to that voice, follow that intuition, and go ahead and find a safer alternative or cut that thing out of your life. Now, if it's like a product swap, I have hundreds and hundreds of safe products listed for you, maybe thousands, on the Gentle Nursery website. I even have the master list of non-toxic products where I have listed products in pretty much every category, from like pets and beauty to pregnancy and family, household, all of those things. So that's on gentlenursery.com/list. That's the master list. If it's not a product swap that you need to make, if it's really just stopping something, find a way to quit or redirect or replace that activity. If it's getting rid of something, maybe you have this piece of furniture that has been nagging you for years. You've been really wanting to get rid of it, but you just for some reason haven't done that. Now's a good time to consider removing that from your life. Okay, so start with whatever's nagging you. I don't know your situation better than you do. I'm not working one-on-one with you. I can't tell you what that thing is. That's something that we typically just kind of maybe keep to ourselves. But I think that when you listen to your intuition, you're going to feel more aligned with yourself, with your needs, and that is really just a great place to start. Okay, so that is my number one recommendation, is to start with whatever's nagging you. Aside from that, the next clean swap that I recommend everyone start with is cleaning up that indoor air quality. Our indoor air quality can get very congested, polluted, even more so than the outside air, simply because there's not as much circulation. So indoor air quality can also be overlooked a lot, but it is very important, okay? Our homes are also filled with potential sources of off-gassing and pollution, such as furniture, building materials, dust, pet dander, all of these different things that just build up and accumulate. And we really, for those reasons, want to be working on our indoor air quality. 2 ways that I recommend you do this, well, actually 3 ways. We've already talked about dusting and vacuuming your house often, so I would keep doing that. But I would also be sure to open the windows in your house often, let the air circulate in your home, and add high quality air filters to your house. The highest quality that you can get is really just the way to go. When you're talking about high quality air filters, there are standard air filters at the store, and then there are ultra HEPA air filters. There are air filters that contain carbon as well. Those are the ones that are going to be able to trap and filter out VOCs, volatile organic compounds, which are basically when products and items release gases, release things into the air. So truly investing in high quality air filters is a really good way to go. You cannot go wrong with having good air quality, good air quality in your house, but also good air filters in your home, especially in the key living areas, such as bedrooms and like the living room and kitchen area, where you're going to have more exposure simply from cooking and things like that. So it is really important to go ahead and have a system in place for filtering out the air in your home. And that is part lifestyle. Like I said, opening up the windows, vacuuming, dusting often, getting rid of dust, keeping those things moving out of your house, and also coupling that strategy with really good air filters. Oh, and the other thing you can do too for that is to include house plants in your home. I am not the best plant mom. I'm trying to get better at it. But if you are better than me at this, then you can definitely employ house plants to not only improve the vibe in your home, but also to improve your indoor air quality. And I will provide a link to some air purifying house plants. It is really just a great thing that you can do for your house overall. So definitely add those in. Okay. And then this one should come as no surprise if you've followed me for some time. But basically, swap number 2 is your water quality. This is such a big one. This is such a big category. This is such a big potential for exposure that you can actually really just do something simple about it. And it is such a quick win when you do swap out your, you purify your water. So tap water, city water can have a number of contaminants. And I'm not going to list all of those off because the honest truth is you probably already know that tap water is contaminated. And the best thing that you can do is have good quality water filtration in place. There's lots of different kinds that you can use, and it really depends on your living situation. So if you are in a temporary space or you are in a smaller space, you might want something like a countertop water filter or a pitcher water filter. And I have some recommendations for those on the site. There are some really, really high quality water filters available right now that are really going to filter out so many impurities, contaminants, and chemicals in the water supply. So you're really lucky in the sense that there are so high quality options available, and they're not necessarily, super expensive either. Okay, so drinking water is one place to start. That is, at the bare minimum, what I would recommend you begin with is filtering out your drinking water. Now, you might be using bottled water, or you might be using tap water, or you might have a water filter that is kind of just a conventional water filter. That's okay. But really, the next level of water purification comes with having your own water filter system in your home. Something that you can count on, something that you can rely on, and something that has been proven to show that it does remove these contaminants. So it's definitely worth the investment. And I'm going to make some product recommendations for you in just a minute here. You can also always check out my product recommendations on gentlenursery.com. I have a ton of water filters listed on the master list as well. But you definitely want to start with your drinking water. Okay, the best solution for most households is to have an in-home water filter. Whether you go with a pitcher, whether you go with reverse osmosis, or you go with a multi-stage water filter, that's really up to you, and that depends on your own water quality. And there's some information I can provide. I have an article about water filters that really talks about how to choose the right water filter for your water quality. But basically, it starts with knowing what contaminants are in your water and then seeking out a water filter that has been shown to remove those contaminants. Okay, so you really want to start with data. You don't just want to kind of guess at it. Or if you just don't know, then you could always go with a reverse osmosis filter. And I'm going to recommend one in just a minute, but there are some really good reverse osmosis filters that have been shown to remove pretty much everything from the water, including chemicals like PFAS, things that are just harder to remove from the water. So reverse osmosis is a good option. Not everybody chooses reverse osmosis because it does deplete the water of everything and you have to add back minerals. Okay, so there's lots to consider here, but don't worry, I'm going to put some links on the show notes here to where you can find all of my water filter recommendations, because it really kind of is a unique, thing to your household and your water needs. Okay. The next step of water filtration is also your shower and bath water. If you can afford a whole home filter, if you have the option of installing that, that's a great way to go, because that is also filtering out contaminants from the water that you use in your shower, the water that you're washing hands with and brushing teeth with. So that is a great thing to do if that's an option. Another way around this is bath filters. They're not going to be as strong or as effective as a whole home filter. You can do a bath filter, or you can just get a shower filter. And I do have a shower filter that I personally use and love, and I will also link to that on the show notes. It is the one that I recommend all the time and personally use on every shower in our home. And at one point, my setup was I had a whole home filter, I had an under sink water filter, and I also had shower filters on every shower head. Now, maybe that seems a little overboard, but we had very hard water and it was just really necessary. So find what works for you. You don't have to invest a ton, but at the very least, start with your drinking water and get shower filters too, or invest in that whole home system for total peace of mind. That's drinking water and water throughout your home. The next step, the next swap that I want you to make is regarding your cleaning products. Remember, we talked about how these are the quickest wins that you can make for your whole family, your whole household. I'm not starting with things like personal care products, because that is going to vary from person to person. I really just want you to start with making swaps that are going to benefit your whole household in one fell swoop. And I think that cleaning products is an area that is not only just a quick win, but a really important swap to make. Why? Okay, well, conventional cleaning products, don't even get me started on the history of them, but basically they are known for containing harsh chemicals. They can be harmful to your health. They are bad for the environment. They can be skin irritants, eye irritants. Some of them can even be like toxic when combined. So conventional cleaning products are just, they need to go. Okay. So if you're still using brands like Lysol, Clorox, 409, Pine Sol, I know you've probably grown accustomed to how well they work. And they work well because they are industrial chemicals. But it's time to let them go if you want to make these swaps toward a healthier lifestyle for your family. Okay? It's just like there's no way around it. Let's get rid of those chemicals. And the great news is there are so many amazing cleaning products nowadays that you can choose from that it is just kind of a no-brainer. I think the hardest part will be getting rid of the expectation that your cleaning products are just going to work miracles. They're going to smell amazing. And it's just a little bit different when you're working with natural cleaning products because one, they don't have the same kind of scent. Two, they're just not as harsh, but they still work. And you can rely on them just as well as you can rely on conventional cleaning products. So yay, that is a huge win. You have so many options available to you when it comes to cleaning products. I'm also going to link an article that lists out some of my favorite cleaning products. You can also check out the master list for more recommendations. But really, truly, cleaning products are one of the quickest wins that you can swap out simply because they not only contain harsh chemicals, they're really, abrasive and harsh in terms of their cleaning power, but they also often include toxic fragrances, and they're not just toxic, they're also just unnecessary. You don't really need all of those fragrances, added fragrance, to clean your home. Your home is going to be clean just by virtue of the fact that you are actually cleaning it. And even when using non-toxic cleaners, you still have the option to find some that have natural, safe, healthy fragrances if that's important to you. So definitely go ahead and swap out your cleaning products. If you want to go DIY, that's a great option too. You can definitely make huge strides toward your non-toxic living goals if you are motivated to do DIY, make your own cleaning products. It's actually pretty simple. Personally, I like to just buy my cleaning products. I do not necessarily have the patience to make them. But you know what? For some people, like, it is so easy to do and it really works for them. Vinegar is really powerful. So is baking soda, and even things just like lemon juice can go a really long way toward cleaning your house and making it smell amazing. So those are my top swaps that I would recommend to anybody. It comes back down to cleaning up the indoor air quality, the water quality, and along with that, your cleaning products go a long way in that. So I want to share some of my favorite products today for today's Loving Lately segment that have to do with the product categories that we just talked about. So for Loving Lately. Okay, I want to start with some of my favorite air filters. I am a huge air filter fan. I typically spend a lot of my discretionary income on air filters. And if you've been following me for some time, you will know that I really do talk a lot about air filters just because they are so powerful. Quick story, we had a wildfire near my house. It was literally like 200 feet away from my house one day. And we shut all the windows. Thankfully, we were home. We were able to close all the windows. But obviously, some smoke did get into the house, and we did have some exposure because we live in California. We had all of our windows open. And I had a few different brands of air filters in my house at the time. And the blue air that I had just didn't make it. It really probably only lasted a couple of hours when we were running it after the wildfire. My two air filters, my 2 stars were the Air Doctor 3000 and my Austin Air Healthmate Plus. And these are my top 2 recommendations for air filters, not only because they check off all the boxes, they have the carbon filters, they have the HEPA filter. They are really high quality, well-made air filters. But truly, these filters were clutch when we had a wildfire. So my top 2 choices for air filters are Austin Air and Air Doctor because they're high quality and because I own them both and use them personally, and I personally love them. So those are my top 2 choices for air filters. As far as water filters, okay, there are a lot of great options now, and I'm so happy to say that because it hasn't always been that way. But my top choices for water filters, generally speaking here, are AquaTrue, the Carafe model, which is a glass filter. That is for desktop or countertop. If you need a countertop water filter, I highly recommend the AquaTrue. It is a countertop reverse osmosis filter. I will link to that in the show notes. My link also gets you, I believe, $100 off any of the AquaTrue models, but I highly recommend the Carafe model, which has the glass bottle. So if you are looking for an under sink model, I highly recommend Pure Effects. That's what I use in my house. I have the UV model. It is kind of their top of the line under sink model, but I don't actually use the UV because it warms up your drinking water. So what I did was I unplugged the UV, I kept it just in case of an emergency, and I just used the 4-stage water filter, and the water was chef's kiss, amazing, totally perfect. The other kind of filter that I use, yes, I am super into water filters. I have many different kinds. The other kind that I use is my clearly filtered pitcher. This is a must-have in every household, I swear. It's not only great if you live in an apartment, if you're in a temporary living situation, but it's also really good to have just in case of an emergency, just in case you need it. Or what about if you just need a water filter upstairs because your toddler keeps asking for water before bed and you don't want to have to keep running up and downstairs. It is just a must-have. It is so worth the investment. And it is really superior to other air filters. I've seen the testing results. It is really just a high quality pitcher, unlike any of the other pitchers out there. Okay, and then finally, for my favorite cleaning product, I personally use Branch Basics for pretty much everything. Branch Basics is a concentrate. So what you do is you buy the concentrate and then you fill it into the bottles and mix it with water. This is nice because you're not paying extra for a ton of water to be sent to you, and it's actually really easy to mix the levels in your cleaning products. So I find that Branch Basics does the job for me. I'm not too worried about disinfectants, so I do recommend Force of Nature if you need an EPA registered disinfectant, and I also have a discount code for that. I will link to that in the show notes as well. But Branch Basics is my personal go-to, and honestly, you can't go wrong with Branch Basics. It can be used as your glass cleaner. It can be used as your bathroom cleaner. It can be used as a multi-purpose cleaner. It can be your hand soap. It can be your body soap if you need it. And it can also do your laundry. So one of the concerns people often have when going non-toxic is, oh my gosh, it's going to cost me so much more. Well, if you switch to a single product like Branch Basics, you can probably end up saving just because you're not buying all of these different products. You're not buying, a magic eraser. You're not buying a cleaning product for your bathroom, for the shower, for this, for that, for the toilet. This one honestly does everything, and I'm super happy with it. So check the link on the show notes because I do have a discount for that as well. That is our getting started with non-toxic top steps to take. I want to summarize what we talked about today just because it is so important to really kind of distill this information down into really bite-sized bits of information. I think that it's very easy to jump into it and get overwhelmed, and that is the opposite of what I'm trying to do here. So to summarize today's episode, number 1, as I have said many times, having the right mindset is key to your longevity with clean living. It is just so important to go into this with the expectation that you are doing this out of love. You are doing this to do good things and not to dive into this toxic rabbit hole and, live a life of stress. That's not what we're doing here. When you're trying to figure out where to start, assess what's bothering you. Do a personal assessment. Is there something that's nagging you that needs attention? Are you listening to that little voice in your head that says, red flag, we shouldn't be doing this? That's often a good place to start. Then we talked about how important your indoor air quality is and how you can make a huge impact toward detoxing your home by getting air filters and airing out the house. vacuuming, dusting, and also getting houseplants. And we also talked about water quality and how crucial it is to have quality filtration systems in place. And finally, we talked about swapping out your traditional cleaning products because they can often be a really big source of household contaminants and harsh chemical exposure in the house. So making the switch to truly non-toxic and safe cleaning products is so simple and such a big win. And that's what we talked about today, is those big wins. So your homework for today, Mama, is to really listen to that intuition. Is there something that's bothering you that you know you should stop or change? Start there. And otherwise, make those big win swaps. Get that air filter, clean out the indoor air quality, pay mind to that and do it often. And then tackle your water filters, tackle your water quality, and be sure you're only bringing in safe cleaning products into your house. Don't fall for greenwashing. I'm going to put a link to how you can avoid greenwashed products and looking at you, Mrs. Myers, and the like. Generally speaking, stick with the safe products that I recommend. Shop the Gentle Nursery Master List. Shop my Amazon store. I have put together so many resources for you so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Do this. Keep it simple. You're doing amazing, and you are doing such great things for your family. I am super proud of you. I will see you in the next episode.